Hi everyone, how are you doing today? It is Wednesday, December 23rd. I hope you're all having a great day. I had a very nice relaxing day at work today. We had a little buffet for the holidays and got to socialize a little bit in between the meetings and the paperwork that had to be completed before the end of the year. But was a very nice day at work. I then went and got my haircut today, which now I'm messing it all up a little bit. There we go. And so that is why I'm filming late, because I knew I had a haircut tonight. I figured I wasn't going to be able to film right away. I stopped and got some Panda Express on the way home. And so I'm now just getting to filming here at 6:38. So the video will not be up at 7 Eastern like I usually have it up, but such is life. I hope you guys have found some time to be crafty over the last 24 hours. I certainly have, and I have some questions that were in the comments that I want to answer. So right off the bat, let's go ahead and answer some of those questions. First off, one question was, do I, Gerald, do I have a fabric stitch count calculator that I like to use that doesn't steer me wrong? So very good question. And I have been wronged by some calculators out there, so you have to be very careful with the available stitching calculators, the fabric calculators that are available. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically you input the stitch width by stitch height, and then you tell the calculator what kind of fabric you're stitching on, as well as the if you're stitching 1/1, 2/2, 1/2, whatever you're doing, and then it will calculate out the size of the piece of fabric that you need for that piece. You can do that without a calculator. There is a mathematical way of doing it, but it's a lot easier if you have technology on your side. So I will be honest, I have been burned in the past with some. One being right off the bat whenever I started with my Crowns of the Kingdom, which I have planned to show you guys in another episode later on next week. But so now I go to 123 Stitch, and I use the fabric calculator that they have on their website. They have a fabric calculator where you go in underneath the fabric section on their website, and so far it has not done me wrong. So it also gives you the size that you would need if you wanted to put a border on it, so that you have plenty of fabric around for framing or finishing or whatever you want to do. So I go to 123 Stitch, and I use their calculator anytime I need to figure out the fabric dimensions for a new project, which I have recently done. And we will talk about that in my plans video that I'm planning on filming this weekend. So there you go. I hope that helps answer your questions about stitching size calculators. I then had a plant related question, and one of the viewers asked in the background, are those air plants? And yes, I do have some air plants. I picked up these air plants, this air plant. This is my air plant from 3 years ago, I think. I ordered all of my coworkers that I share offices with on my team 3 years ago, because now I have my own office. I ordered everyone one of these air plants, Tillisandria or something like that. Here is the one coworker that I have, because as you can see, it was kind of on its last leg. So he gave it to me to take care of, and it's just been with me ever since. I think he forgot about it. Anyway, so this was the very first air plant I ever got. As you can see, it did flower for me, and then I think those pictures are on my Instagram, and then it produced an offspring. So you can see there, I have not separated it. I kind of like the way it looks like this. Naturally, you can separate them if you want, or you can keep them as bunches. So this is the first one I got. 6 months to a year later, I don't remember exactly, I ordered 3 more, and unfortunately one of those died, but I still have 2 of them. I have this one, which is slightly different. It came with the offspring, so that one was already there whenever I got the plant. There you can see the offspring a little bit better if I move this leaf. There. So that one has been doing pretty well for me. And then I have this one, which I'm really hoping will bloom for me. It hasn't bloomed yet, but this is the one. This is the third one that I have. So I have those three. I have the three different varieties, four air plants. I will tell you, if you have any questions about air plants, the best thing to do is once a week, you take a bowl of water, you dip the base of the plant into the water so that it is the base is submerged, and you leave it there for about 4 hours. All the directions that say just mist them every couple days, you're going to kill the plant because it's not getting enough water, especially in the winter in the northern hemisphere. You know, in my climate where the air is extremely dry, it dries out the plants. These are much more brittle during the winter than during the summer because of the dry, cold air. So basically either every 2 weeks allow them to soak for 8 hours, or every week allow them to soak for 4 hours, and you'll be good to go. Have them in some sunlight and you are pretty much golden. Those are my tips for air plants. Let me go ahead and pause a second so I can put the air plants away. All right, so that was my questions that I had to answer for today. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comment section below. I would be happy to answer them. Stitching, plant, whatever related that you have questions about, I'll be happy to answer. So I have some progress to show you. And so let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So last night I did do a little bit of, I was just making sure I had everything here. I did do 4 rows of stitching on my simple summer socks that you can find by Liz Pankratz on Ravelry. There it is. And I'm not loving them. And here's why. I love the way that they're looking and the way that they're turning out. I think it's a great pattern. I don't like the needles that I'm using for them. So this is a color. These are leftover yarns that I have. I've talked about this many times. This is an amber. And this is a Knit Picks Hawthorne, I believe in the colorway Elliot, which I thought was sold out. But when I went on to Knit Picks the other day, they have this colorway. I'm fairly certain this is Elliot. So if you're interested in that colorway, I may very well pick up a couple skeins just because I love it so much. So I'm not super thrilled. I like the sock. I like knitting the sock. I like the pattern. I don't like the needles, and here's why. When I go to do the pattern design in the front, it's often either the knit 2 together or the slip knit. And I find that these, I have Chow Goose 9-inch circulars. They're not sharp enough to be able to get through the 2 strands of the two knit stitches to do like the knit 2 together very well. And I'm often piercing the threads. I think a high sharp needle would be much better, and I'm tempted to buy a high sharp. I have high sharps in US 1. This is a US 2, so it's kind of not that enjoyable to knit on right now. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I very well may put this away for a little bit and focus on my other knitting projects that I want to focus on until I figure out what I want to do. I really don't want to have to buy another needle because I have a lot of needles. So that is a dilemma that I'm going to work out here in the future. Then I went ahead and pulled out my my shawl that I'm working on. This is the Pay It Forward shawl from Wolf and Fawn Knits. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. I think the pattern is $8 American. I could be wrong. So I'm doing this in the blue and Lost Key colors that I got from Nina's Hand Dyed. I've talked about that on other videos. And here is my progress so far. So I worked on this last night. I think I put in 4 rows. And then this morning, or not this morning, today at work, I took it in between my work, my shift at work and my haircut. I had a little bit of time left over and I didn't want to come home because my hair salon is closer to work than it is at home. So I went ahead and put in 6 rows of blue. So there is the progress so far on my shawl, and I'm loving it so far. I love knitting this. It's super simple. I think it looks fantastic. You know, I'm not a huge fan of garter stitch, but I'm really liking this design. So there we go. I think it's going to look wonderful when it's done. It is washing out a little bit in this light. It's not as bright like cobalt blue as what it's showing. It's more of an blue-green than what it's actually showing. So there we go. Super happy with how my shawl is coming along. And then I did some stitching. So last night I thought I was just going to go right to the buzzard talk, which, by the way, thank you all for the love of the buzzards. I'm surprised how many people actually like the buzzard design, because I had mentioned yesterday how I know it's not everyone's fancy, but it has a lot of sentimental reasons for me to stitch. But before I did that, I went ahead and pulled my Queen sampler back out. Yeah, I stitched more on it, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second. But this is the Queen sampler from from Plum Street Samplers. It's Elizabeth the First, and I finished all the black in the pattern. So basically, so yesterday, here we go. Yesterday I had completed the box and before the video, and then last night after the video I was like, all I have left to do of the black 310 is the 2 urns or vases on either side. And I was like, that's not going to take me any time to stitch. Let me just go ahead and stitch that up real quick. So it took me about 40 minutes and I stitched those 2 urns. And now all the black in the pattern is completely done. I was able to put 310 away. So I put 310 away and I am now ready to move on to working up the vines of the pattern. So there you can see coming out of each of the urns or pots or vases, whatever you want to call them, is a row of Tudor roses. So I will work on that whenever I feel like stitching on this again. However, this is coming along quicker than I had anticipated. And it's really a joy to stitch on. So this is on a 40 count linen called Old Linen by Extrude Designs. There we go. Anyways, that is the Queen sampler. Then I did work on my buzzard talk. So somebody asked me what the 2 of them say. The one that I've stitched already says, go ahead, make my day. And this one that I'm stitching now says, I don't need all these problems. So that is what I'm working on now. The reason I'm doing this one is because this one was released a year after this one, 1985, 1986. This was a pattern that was passed down to me from my mom. So here is my progress so far. This one took me a little bit longer to stitch on last night. So I worked on basically the center. I started from the center and worked my one color. So this color is now completely done. Now you're going to say, Gerald, there's a line across your fabric. And yes, I am well aware that there is a line across my fabric. So when I pulled this fabric out of the drawer that it was sitting in, I had seen that there were basically fade lines where, this is the back of the pattern project, by the way, fade lines where it was folded. Now, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think you're really going to notice all that much, because I am stitching on the least faded side. And yeah, there's a line here, but I think once it's all said and done and your eyes drawn to the bird and not that line, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Plus, a lot of this, like from here all the way over to like here, is all stitched. So the majority of it is going to be covered up anyways. So I think it'll be perfectly fine. And if anybody says anything, I'll just be like, oh, that's the horizon. That's the sun setting behind him. So there we go. There is my second buzzard. I really hope to have this done before the end of the year. So you may see a lot more of the buzzard in the next few days. I have a lot of stitching time available to me in the next couple days because I'm off and it's Christmas. So I'm hoping to knock this out pretty quickly. I say that now, and now I just probably screwed myself and I won't get it done because I'll lose interest. That's my progress, everyone. I hope you guys are having as much progress as I am. I'm having a lot of fun making these videos. I'm not going to be looking forward to them ending here in January. However, all things must come to an end. So I thank you all for the comments, the likes, and the liking and the subscribing to my channel, the liking of the videos, meaning the thumbs up. I appreciate all of your support. I enjoy coming here and talking about my crafting because I don't have a lot of people in my personal life that are interested or really know what I'm talking about. So it's always a joy to come and talk to you all. So as always, you can find me on Instagram, ginger.gerald.stitcher, or you can email below if you want to ask a question or chat or whatever you're interested in doing. I am available and open to discussion. I don't have any specific plans for the next few days. I'm just going to go with it. I have some things I do need to do, such as cooking and baking and wrapping presents, because I haven't done any of that yet. But I'm not stressed about it because it's just going to be two of us, my friend and I, for Christmas this year. I'll be chatting with my family on the phone and we'll go with it as it is. So I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you for allowing me to be late today. And I will definitely be back in tomorrow at 7 o'clock for our Christmas Eve update. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your penultimate day before Christmas. And I will see you tomorrow. And as always, don't forget to always be creative.